what if we were to think strategically about a problem? Take the latest round of tariffs of 50% on the raft of products that Canadians produce that are supposed to come into effect sometime in mid August. Already, there's reports suggesting that some Canadian manufacturers are seeing orders being canceled from American customers because even if we don't know for sure whether or not these tariffs are going to be enforced, they're probably illegal anyway, but like that never seemed to stop this president before anyway. So, in the face of this kind of uncertainty, a lot of companies in the US, clients of those companies in Canada producing some of those products, are canceling orders. And like, who could blame them? Tariff of 50% adds a lot to an invoice, and people can't deal with that. This is leading some manufacturers in Canada to cut jobs. And sometimes some of those manufacturers, there's news reports showing that in some cases, um, these are happening in small towns where losing 50 jobs, is a huge problem. So, what are we supposed to do about this? I mean, the Supreme Court has already ruled that most of the tariffs, the previous batch, I mean, a bunch of those are illegal. We knew this. Donald Trump doesn't care. Um, they hurt Americans probably even more than Canadians, although it's spread out. Like in America, I think the average cost of tariffs is about $1,000 per household per year, which is set apparently to go up to about $1,200 US a year. Uh, but it's not evenly distributed, and it's kind of a cost that, I mean, you don't really see it, right? It's not like losing your job, it's not immediate. Everything's kind of a little bit more expensive, and maybe most people don't really realize what's happening. Um, and he doesn't give a shit, right? Like the fact that tariffs are hurting Americans more than Canadians, that's not a problem. Like he really doesn't care. So what do you do about this? How do you think about, and I actually, before I go any further, I don't have the answer to this. And I don't think any one person has the answer to this, but I think it would help us to think about the problem in a way that is as strategic as we can be. And I think it goes like this, or something like this. He's not going to stop. The Supreme Court can't stop him. I don't think the midterms will stop him. I think it's pretty clear, given all the evidence that we're seeing right now. There was just this morning an article in the Washington Post about this, about how people knocking on doors for Republicans, having polls, having all kinds of town halls, and all kinds of there's all kinds of data coming into the Republican Party that it's going to be a bloodbath. Like November, the midterms are going to hurt the Republican Party like crazy. Donald Trump is killing that brand, doesn't give a shit either. And he's probably not going to acknowledge or respect the results of the election. He's done that before. So, what do we do up in Canada about this? I mean, we could try a little bit of judo. Again, I don't know that that's the answer, but I can't think of anything else. Maybe the best thing we could do is like nothing. Maybe the best thing we could do is to allow this to play out because it's not just Donald Trump in the United States. There's other people with political ambition, there's other people with careers, there's other people with jobs, companies, manufacturers, consumers, families. At some point, the pain on these people is going to be such that they will be the ones pushing back and pushing back very hard. And it's going to get ugly. I'm actually quite worried that this is going to be, and I'm not here calling for violence. I'm here saying I worry there's going to be a fair bit of it. I worry that's the only thing that's going to force him. I mean, I hope not. I hope somehow the Republicans in Congress, whoever they are, or maybe Democrats in Congress come January, find a way to get him out of office because I think that's the only way that we return to normal. But even if they somehow can't do it, even if he denies the results of the election, even if he prevents people from taking office in January, like they've tried to do that once and they kind of got away with it. Um, w- for us in Canada, like negotiating with whom? For what? And I'm sure negotiations are still happening at the bureaucratic level, and because there's good people still in the US government that are just trying to put things together so that we can have a semblance of normalcy somewhere in there. Um, but at the political level, engaging with Donald Trump for what? The guy has lost all legitimacy. I don't think at this point a prime minister should um, legitimize him, platform him. And it feels weird. We should deplatform the US president. I don't think there's any other rational or strategic choice at this point. Certainly sucking up to him is not going to work because, like any abuser, and make no mistake, Donald Trump is an abusive person. Any abuser, whenever you give them an inch, they take a foot. Like, this is anyone who's ever dealt with an abuser will tell you, uh-huh. And sometimes it's not just a foot. Sometimes you give them an inch and they take 10 feet and then they ask for more. Um, there's no winning this if we are playing by the rules. And I don't think the Canadian government should start not playing by the rules because I don't think that's us and I don't think we want that. So maybe we wait for the nasty stuff to somehow go away. And meanwhile, um, clearly there's some people, and it's really like you could not, if you make hockey sticks in Canada, like it can't be your fault that suddenly you're losing a bunch of orders to American customers because of Donald Trump. So I think it's up to us and the government, through the government, obviously, to I guess subsidize these manufacturers who are unfairly targeted by these latest round of tariffs, and just allow them to, I guess, keep going, even if it's artificial, until things come back. We can't just let people lose their jobs and lose their cities and their families and lose everything just because of that. And I know it feels stupid to say maybe the only strategic move at this point is to do nothing. Um, but I do think, and all the evidence that I see points to that Donald Trump is doing such damage to his own party, the Republican Party, that that's where the salvation is going to come from. There will be a turning point, and I don't know when that's going to be, and I don't know what it's going to look like, but it has to come at some point because these people, they've been pretty stupid so far, but there's a limit to their stupidity. At least I want to believe there is. And maybe there's not much other choice at this point. A smart person looking at this situation, if you had zero emotional involvement in this, you'd probably look at that and say, "Pfft, he's hurting everyone, including himself. Let him finish the job, and then we'll try to pick things up once normalcy returns." And I hope it does return by January at the latest.